Good afternoon, folks. Today is Sunday, July 19th, and we're just going to give you a few trades that we took from Friday the 17th. My name is Aman, and I'm here with Mandeep. So, Mandeep, can you just give us some insight into a couple of trades you took from this Friday?
Sure, we can talk about that. And some of these trades that I'm going to discuss, I also mentioned in the Discord room fairly early in the morning. And as you can see, on 717, I talked about these trades, and these were, 15 to 20 minutes after the market opened. And I noticed a couple of stocks like NVAX, VIR, ISRG, EBS, and others that had fairly good relative volume. Right. And relative volume, as I've mentioned a few times before, is the key to select stocks for day trading. And so some of these stocks we actually traded, and I'll show you my collective 2 account. Here's the collective 2 account where all of these trades that we take are also recorded live. Right, so you can gauge the performance, and this is actually for subscribers that I have that follow my UTS strategy without owning the software. So let's start here. This NVAX trade that I called out, right? And these are time stamped, right? So this trade actually occurred at 10:16 Pacific Standard Time, and then we closed this trade same day as well, right? At 10:33. So it didn't actually last too long, but you made $329. The other trades that we had were in Intuitive Surgical. We traded NVAX again, ISRG again, KC, which I also mentioned in the room, and then we had 2 losing trades as well, which is FBRX and Intuit. And the reason we lost the Intuit trade, I mean, is mainly because I think we broke the rule a little bit, and we didn't watch the relative volume here, and it didn't have enough volume. But that was a minor loss. And then, of course, Moderna that we talked about is another trade that we ended up taking, which made 259. So collectively, these trades together made about a little over $850 just day trading, right? And so let's take a look at each of these trades, and let's start with Moderna. And Moderna has been in news for a number of different reasons. As you guys know, it's one of the companies that's developing a vaccine for COVID-19. It's also been in the news because of it getting added or likely getting added in the Nasdaq 100 index. So anyway, so in this case, as you can see, the buy triggered fairly early on. So this is not a trade that we took first thing in the morning. We took it much later in the day. But if you right click and look at the show report, you can see this trade made 776 in profit, right? So in 18 trades, it has a total profit of 1397, so which is not bad at all, and it had pretty good high volume through the day. The other trade that did really well was ISRG. And so this is something again that I called out in the room fairly early in the morning because I saw a lot of high volume on it, and whenever you have high volume, it basically means there's institutional interest in that stock. And as you can see, we got a buy fairly early on in the day as well. And by right clicking, we can take a look at the profit on this trade. If we held it from the start to the end using 100 shares as default, is $4,179, right? So it's pretty good. And VAX is the other trade that I shared with the people in the Discord room that I'll take, and that also had pretty decent profit as well. So if you right click, we can go down. So it had $680 in profit. And the last one that I want to cover is KC, and this was extremely strong as well, high relative volume. So out of the list that we have, we are basically looking for stocks where the relative volume is marked in green, and then obviously we look at the stocks that are also breaking the orb. So EBS is another trade that I mentioned in the room that I took in took in another account that I have, and that's also something because I had a buy signal in it. And so all of these have pretty good closes as well, right? So this had a profit of $313. And as you can see, after the close happened, it basically trended sideways to a little bit down. So again, the focus remains the same. If you're day trading, then relative volume is one of the most important factors that you need to, put in your equation when you end up trading. And so, tell me a little bit, Aman, what are things that you learned this week, right? I mean, each week your goal is to, turn into a better trader. What are some of the things that you've been learning, and things that you want to share with the subscribers that we have?
So, I think one thing that I've been focusing on is just taking day trades right now because, again, last week you said that there's a lot of potential uncertainty in the market because of how overstretched it is. So try to be cautious, take your advice, and just continue to day trade. But the best way to make money in these day trades, like you said, is to focus on the high volume stocks. Because if you're focusing on a stock that doesn't have a lot of volume to it, you don't know if it's going to make a move or not. But the ones you pointed out today all did fantastic.
Yeah. The other thing is that, when we look at all of these stocks that are, color coded in either black or red, we have no interest in trading these. So it doesn't mean they actually didn't make money. I mean, we can look at a couple examples. Some of them still probably got a buy signal, right? But you need to, this one had probably one trade that broke even and another one that ended up making money. But if you're going to trade, you can't trade all the stocks that show up in the list. What you want to do is essentially select the stocks that have the highest probability. So even other stocks, make money. Stocks can move up on low volume, but our focus is always on stocks that are moving up on higher volume, right? So another example, NEE, which I did not trade on Friday, but I traded it on Thursday, which also made two wins, maybe a little bit small, but they did end up winning. So from next week's perspective, let's take a look at the chart of the Qs, right? And let's look at the chart on the daily time frame. And we discussed this in fair bit of length last week, where I was talking about, where I had looked at some statistical analysis. I looked at the probability, and I'd mentioned that we are way overstretched, right, in over the last several weeks, right? And now this is the daily channel that I've drawn, and then we were trading outside the channel. So we've got some pullback that happened in the Fangman stocks. And so I continue to be cautious. Again, a lot of the earnings are due this week for Google and Tesla and Amazon, etc. And depending on the earnings, the stock could move one way or the other, right? So from our standpoint, I think it's best to wait for what the reaction is to the earnings versus what the actual earnings do, and that will dictate what kind of stance I want to take. One of the things I don't do is when I'm day trading, I don't like to play earnings because those are binary events. It's always hard to select specific ones. If you're trading earnings, then you have to take most of them, and then perhaps you'll end up being on the right side. But if you just select a couple, then there are different reasons, where the earnings could be really good, but the guidance is not very good, and that could move the stock in the direction opposite to what your thesis is. So, and then let's wrap it up by taking a look at the SPY daily chart. So this line that I've drawn is actually the high end of this gap that was formed, right? And this is an area where we had consolidation for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, right? So this was consolidating, and this is the cyan color is the long-term channel that we have, and we did break out of this channel and this consolidation area as well. So I had also mentioned last week that it's entirely possible that the market may do some sector rotation, so there a rotation happening from the growth stocks into the value stocks, right? And so as long as we keep up at this level and prices are maintained and stay at this level, then I think there's a good possibility that we could move up to the all-time high, but only time will tell, and we don't want to make any assumptions around it. So with that, we'll wrap up this weekend's analysis, and We hope you enjoy it, and if there's other things that you want to see, please post it in the comments, and we'll do our best. If we can explain that concept, we'll do that going forward. Have a great weekend and have an awesome trading week. Bye bye.